Hey everyone, this is David Brown with the migration update for March 30th, 2025 from the Derby Hill Hawkwatch. I got out around 7:30 this morning and started by scanning the lake. The highlight was this male ruddy duck, and if you look at eBird, this is a species that's quite rare at Derby Hill in the spring. Today was overcast with light to moderate southeasterly winds. Temperature started pretty cool but warmed up by the afternoon, and there were a few periods of rain that paused the count throughout the day. Besides the ruddy duck, there were a few other first-of-season species around today, including golden-crowned kinglet, eastern towhee, and this savanna sparrow. Great blue herons were on the move today with 25 counted. Today was one of the better morning flights we've had recently, with a lot of blackbirds, robins, and swallows on the move. Here we have a tree full of common grackles. Here we have a finch with a nice raspberry color to it and a forked tail. This is a male purple finch. Here we have a small raptor with pointed wings, so we should be thinking small falcon, and we see overall it's light underneath with a distinctive facial pattern. This is a male American kestrel. Here we have a big, lanky, black and white raptor. This is an osprey, and we had 9 osprey total today, whereas we'd only had 10 so far for the entire season up to today. So we nearly doubled the season total for ospreys. Really good flight for March. Here we have a medium-sized asip. We see that flying cross shape, relatively large head. We see that the outer tail feathers are shorter than the central ones. This is an adult Cooper's hawk. Here we have a small raptor with pointed wings, so again, it's a small falcon. We see its overall light underneath, making it an American kestrel, and the streaking to the upper breast makes this a female American kestrel. And here's what the top side of that female American kestrel looks like. Being a kind of gloomy day, it wasn't really a beautio kind of day at all. Most of the flight was things like sharp-shinned hawks and kestrels and harriers and ospreys, but we did have a few red-tailed hawks move through, including this one. Note the belly band underneath and the dark patagial bars. Here we have a raptor with a long tail, a white rump patch, and long skinny wings that are held up into a V or a dihedral. This is a northern harrier, and all of the streaking to the upper breast make this an adult female northern harrier. Here we have a small asip. We see a kind of a small head. If you look at the eyeball, it looks kind of like a bug-eyed appearance to the face, and we see it has a very squared off tip to the tail because all of the tail feathers are the same length. Overall, a more compact shape. This is an adult sharp-shinned hawk. Here's another bird that was a bit early and was the first one for the season. Here we have a swallow, and we see a very long forked tail, which is enough we need to know to identify this as a barn swallow. But you can also see that they have a reddish throat, and overall the underside is kind of a yellowish color compared to the bright white of tree swallows. Here's another asip. Looking at the head, it has more of a cute or bug-eyed appearance, not super fierce looking, and we see all the tail feathers are the same length, making this another adult sharp-shinned hawk. It wasn't great weather for turkey vultures either, but in the midday it brightened up for a little while, and we had about 100 turkey vultures move through. If you're a small rodent, this might be the last thing you ever see. Here we have a hawk coming at us. We see a gray head, otherwise pretty much a white plumage except for black wingtips and black trailing edge to the secondaries. Beautiful yellow eyes. This is an adult male northern harrier. It came over nice and low, giving us great looks, and that was really the theme of today. You get these gloomy days, and maybe we didn't have the huge numbers that we get on days when there's sun, but pretty much everything that came through was coming through nice and low, right around treetop level. So really nice looks at raptors today. I want to show you a field mark that's useful for distinguishing between adult Cooper's hawks and adult sharp-shinned hawks. This only applies for adults, and it has to do with the field mark of the pale nape on a Cooper's hawk, or sometimes you'll hear it termed that adult Cooper's hawks have a capped appearance, whereas adult sharp-shinned hawks have a hooded appearance. So looking at this adult Cooper's hawk, we see that the top of the head is dark, but as you get back to the back of the neck, also known as the nape, we see this nice pale area. And then on the back of the bird, it is dark again. So there's a gap between the dark on top of the head and the dark of the actual back. It has that pale nape. Now let me show you the adult sharp-shinned hawk. Looking at the adult sharp-shinned hawk, we see that that dark blue that's on top of the head continues all the way down the back of the neck and onto the actual back of the bird. So from the side on, we have this nice dividing line between the pale below and the dark above. And again, on the Cooper's hawk, we can't even really see the actual back of the neck of this bird, but we see this pale patch here that it's very different than this dividing line that we see on the sharp-shinned hawk. And of course, if these birds turned and gave us more of a topside look, it would be even easier to see that field mark. But that's something that you'll sometimes hear for distinguishing. But again, this is only for the adult Cooper's hawks and sharp-shinned hawks. Here we have a small raptor with pointed wings. We should be thinking small falcon, but this bird we see has a lot of dark streaking below, making it a merlin. Here we have another small raptor with pointed wings, another small falcon, but this bird is light below, making it an American kestrel. This species was my bird of the day on Merlin today, so I was glad I got to see a couple of them. Here we have kind of a funny looking bird with a very sloping forehead into a long pointed bill. We see that it's yellow underneath with a black bib, and this bird has a very short tail and a very unique stuttery way of flapping. This is an eastern meadowlark. Here we have a beautiful bird with a blue face, a reddish-brown upper breast, and a white belly. This is an eastern bluebird. Here we're looking straight up at a raptor, and this silhouette can really confuse birders who see this species at a hawkwatch for the first time, because normally when you're out birding, you see this bird cruising low to the ground. You rarely see it up high overhead. And this species is kind of a mix of several different groups of raptors. We see a long tail like the accipiters would show. We see pointed wings like a falcon might show, but overall the bird's kind of big and lanky. So what is this? This is a northern harrier, and this is the adult male plumage. We see that overall gray and white coloration with the dark trailing edge to the secondaries and the black wingtips. Here's a different adult male northern harrier, and when they're turned a little bit and you can see that face, it's easier to identify them. Here we have another acip, and looking at this bird, does it have a big head or a small head? I would say that's a pretty small looking head. Does it seem bug-eyed, or does it seem like it has a very fierce looking face? I'd say it looks pretty bug-eyed. And are all the tail feathers the same length, or do some of them seem shorter? All of them seem the same length, giving it a very squared off tip to the tail. This is an adult sharp-shinned hawk. Here we have a swallow that's dark above and white below. This is a tree swallow, and we had a really nice push of tree swallows today, several hundred of them. They were pretty steady coming through in the morning, and then again at the end of the day, I stayed out a little bit late, and that was the main highlight, getting to see dozens of tree swallows continue to come through. And besides that one barn swallow we had today, the only swallows we're seeing so far are tree swallows. But over the next several weeks, we'll begin to get purple martins and northern rough-winged swallows and cliff swallows and bank swallows. So lots of swallow fun to come. But this time of year, it's pretty much just tree swallows, and we're lucky if we get anything different. Here we have a buteo, and we see a belly band and dark patagial bars, and we can see a red tail. This is an adult red-tailed hawk. And to finish, here's an osprey that stared me down as it flew low overhead. Taking a look at the eBird list, today we had 60 species, so great variety today. There were 5 new species for the season today, which were ruddy duck, barn swallow, golden-crowned kinglet, Savannah sparrow, and eastern towhee, for a total of 100 species seen so far this season. Taking a look at the hawk count report for our migrant raptor totals, today we had 104 turkey vultures, 9 ospreys, 21 northern harriers, 36 sharp-shinned hawks, 5 Cooper's hawks, 4 red-tailed hawks, and for falcons we had 18 American kestrels and 2 merlins for a total of 199 migrating raptors. That brings the season total to 13,964. Taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, it's looking cloudy with some morning rain and a high temperature of 57 in the morning, falling to 45. And I wrote a lot here, but let me just briefly summarize. In the morning, it's going to be warm with southerly winds and perhaps a bit of rain. And then at some point in the midday, a cold front is going to come through, and that's going to bring a shift to stronger westerly winds and falling temperatures. So Overall, this is a good weather pattern. We like when there's a warm front that comes through and then the cold front comes through, and that often brings a push of birds ahead of it. When the winds are good in the morning, as long as it's not too rainy, we could end up with a good flight with those southerly winds bringing all of the raptors up to the lakeshore, and hopefully some birds get ahead of that cold front. We're right in the peak turkey vulture migration time, so maybe we'll get a push of vultures tomorrow. So I'm optimistic about tomorrow, even if it does end up being a bit rainy at times in the morning. That's often something that comes with these big flights. Now, I think it's going to be gloomy. I don't think the sun's going to pop out much and give us thermals to get like a really big day, but I could see it being another day similar to today where we're getting decent numbers. And anytime we have a cold front coming through, there's the possibility of a big flight ahead of that. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It should be an interesting day at least. And southerly winds overnight tonight should bring more songbirds in tomorrow, especially if we have some rain around sunrise tomorrow. That could create a bit of fallout. So good day to get out birding tomorrow and see what's around, and hopefully a big hawk flight here along the lake shore. For Tuesday, there will be some clouds lingering in the morning, and then it will become sunny, a high of only 38, so much colder than these past couple days, and winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. We'll be at the south lookout and could be a good turkey vulture flight, but I would expect light migration otherwise. And for Wednesday, cloudy with occasional rain in the afternoon, a high around 45, but really good winds, east-southeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour. So I think that's a good wind direction. We'll keep an eye on Wednesday as another potential big day. All right, well, I really enjoyed today with some new species showing up and a decent non-raptor morning flight, and then a nice steady raptor flight. And sometimes it's not about getting the biggest numbers. Sometimes it's just about getting a really nice look at a hawk every 5 minutes. And that's kind of what today was, as it was a nice parade of Sharpies and Kestrels and Harriers and Ospreys. So I thought it was a fun day to be out. And I think there were some visitors who came and enjoyed themselves today as well. And looks like we may have some more good days coming up soon. So I hope you can join us out at the Derby Hill Hawkwatch. From Lyco Birds, this is David Brown. Thanks for watching.